GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon. A driver was arrested after crashing into a Scarborough light pole, and downtown traffic is snarched with road closures and subway reductions. The Blue Jays take on the Red Sox tonight, and National Dry Beverages just announced an $18.1 million expansion. Nathan, what do you make of that?
The Toronto Public Library will host a free children's storytime session at the Riverdale branch this Saturday, featuring interactive reading and a craft activity for ages 3 to 5.
This Saturday, families can attend the Riverdale branch's Children's Storytime, a complimentary program by the Toronto Public Library that includes reading aloud and a simple craft project.
The event begins at 11 a.m. and runs for 45 minutes, providing a relaxed environment for young listeners and parents to explore new books together.
Lots to get to. Let's begin our next segment together, and thank you for joining us as we dive into today's stories. Here are our top stories.
Police arrested a driver for impaired driving after his vehicle struck a traffic light pole at the William Kitchen Road and Kennedy Road intersection around 11:15 p.m. on August 9th. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
Police arrived at the William Kitchen and Kennedy intersection shortly after a call reported a vehicle slamming into a traffic light pole just after 11:15 p.m. on August 9th. Officers found the driver, a male in his 30s, showing clear signs of impairment, and placed him under arrest on the spot. The collision caused moderate damage to the vehicle's front end, but no other injuries. The only charge filed is impaired driving, and the driver was taken into custody without needing medical treatment. The busy crossroads was closed briefly while investigators documented the scene and cleared the wreckage. Toronto Police Service completed the on-scene processing before tow trucks removed the car. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Kennedy Road.
Ontario Teachers' Pension Plan reported a 9.5% net return and $26.6 billion of investment income for the first half of 2026, according to its board. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
The Ontario Teachers' Pension Plan just released its mid-year results, showing a net return of 9.5% for the January to June period. Investment income topped $26.6 billion, a figure the board says reflects strong performance across its portfolio. The fund, which manages retirement savings for teachers across the province, highlighted gains in both public equity and infrastructure assets. While the report doesn't break down individual contributors, the overall growth pushes the plan's assets higher as it heads into the second half of the year. Stakeholders will be watching how the strategy holds up against market volatility in the months ahead. The board will release a full annual update later this year. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Toronto.
Toronto's downtown Wellington and Portland intersection redesign has cut vehicle trips while boosting cyclist and pedestrian counts, part of the city's broader push for active transportation. Simone Okonkwo has the full story.
Traffic counts taken since the redesign show a noticeable dip in vehicle movements through the Wellington and Portland corner, while cyclists and pedestrians are taking the space in greater numbers. The city closed a lane on Wellington, added a protected bike lane, and widened the sidewalk along Portland, turning what was once a straight through for cars into a shared space. Residents nearby say the change has softened the rush hour roar, and commuters report smoother flows on adjacent streets. Officials say the pilot is part of a broader downtown plan to shift streets toward active travel. Early monitoring suggests the shift is already reshaping how people move through the core. Simone Okonkwo, GMNA News, Wellington.
2 men have been taken into custody after a downtown Toronto armed robbery, fleeing officers in a stolen vehicle before being apprehended by Toronto Police Service. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
Police say 2 men were taken into custody Thursday after a downtown armed robbery turned into a chase. Officers responded to a robbery near Yonge and King, where a suspect brandished a firearm and fled. The assailants stole a sedan and led police through the financial district before abandoning the vehicle on a side street. Both suspects were apprehended shortly thereafter and now face armed robbery charges. The arrests occurred near the St. Lawrence Market area, where officers set up a perimeter, questioned the men briefly, and then escorted them to the precinct. The stolen sedan was recovered and linked to a theft reported earlier this week. Toronto Police Service confirmed investigation remains ongoing as detectives work to identify participants and recover stolen property. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, St. Lawrence.
TTC Board has ordered the agency to halt random drug and alcohol testing of staff, following an arbitrator's recommendation to end the practice. The move affects all transit employees across the city. Simon Okonkwo has the full story.
The TTC Board has formally instructed the transit agency to cease its random drug and alcohol testing program for employees, aligning with an arbitrator's recommendation. The decision came after months of routine screenings that many workers felt were invasive. Board members said the recommendation was reviewed and accepted, noting that the existing policy did not meet the standards set out in the recent arbitration ruling. As a result, testing stations that were once set up at several depots will be shut down, and staff will no longer be required to submit to unannounced screenings. The move marks a shift in how the Commission handles workplace safety and employee privacy concerns. Simon Okonkwo, GMNA News, Toronto.
Later we'll hear about the motorcyclist killed in an Ontario collision and how police are seeking witnesses, plus more. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. A motorcyclist was killed in a collision in an Ontario town on August 9, 2026. Ontario Provincial Police urge anyone who saw the crash or has video to contact them or Crime Stoppers. Simon Okonkwo has full story.
Police say a motorcyclist was killed after a collision with a vehicle on a road in an Ontario town. The crash occurred on August 9th, 2-year-old summer afternoon, and emergency crews pronounced the rider dead at the scene. Ontario Provincial Police officers are now canvassing the area for anyone who saw the accident or captured video footage. They ask potential witnesses to call the OPP tip line or contact Crime Stoppers, citing the need for any information that could help reconstruct the events. No further details about the other vehicle have been released, and investigators remain on site while the community processes the loss today. Simon Okonkwo, GMNA News, Toronto.
Canoe capsized near the shore of Stewart Lake in Georgian Bay Township, leaving one of 2 occupants dead and the other rescued, police confirmed. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
Police say a canoe carrying 2 people capsized just beyond the shore of Stewart Lake early Thursday. The vessel tipped over in roughly 40-foot water, throwing both occupants into the cold lake. First responders arrived within minutes, pulling one survivor from the surface and transporting him to a nearby clinic. Despite rapid treatment, the second passenger was pronounced dead at the scene. Officials are investigating whether a sudden gust or a hidden snag caused the boat to overturn. The lake's shallow edge, popular with weekend paddlers, remains closed while investigators collect evidence. No other boats were reported nearby at the time. Authorities reminded paddlers to check weather updates and wear life jackets before heading out on the water. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Stewart Lake.
Two tornadoes touched down in southern Ontario Saturday after Environment Canada issued a tornado alert amid severe storms, damaging winds, large hail, and intense rainfall. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
Two tornadoes ripped through southern Ontario on August 8, 2026, after Environment Canada issued a tornado alert for the region. The first funnel touched down near the outskirts of a small community, tearing trees from the ground and snapping power lines as gusts exceeded 30 miles per hour. Minutes later, a second twister formed over open fields, hurling large hail the size of golf balls and dumping inches of rain in a matter of minutes. Emergency crews responded quickly, clearing debris and restoring electricity to affected neighborhoods. Meteorologists said the tornadic activity was spurred by an intense low-pressure system that produced damaging winds, heavy hail, and torrential rain across the area. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Toronto.
Ontario families are pressing for heightened West Nile virus awareness as mosquito season peaks, while health officials urge residents to take protective measures against the rising risk of serious illness. Simona Conquo has the full story.
Families across Ontario are pressing for stronger public messaging on West Nile virus as mosquito activity reaches its peak. Health officials are echoing the call, reminding residents to use repellent, wear long sleeves, and eliminate standing water around homes. The virus, spread by mosquito bites, usually produces mild flu-like signs or none at all, but it can progress to serious illness and, in rare cases, death. With the season at its height, the chance of infection climbs, prompting doctors to advise anyone with fever, headache, or joint pain after a bite to seek medical attention promptly. Authorities say community vigilance and simple protective steps remain the best defense. Neighbors are also sharing tips on covering patios and installing screens to keep the pests out. Simona Conquo, GMNA News, Toronto.
Porter Airlines canceled a scheduled Toronto-bound flight on August 6 after a young passenger refused to fasten the seatbelt, citing safety protocols. The airline said it could not operate without compliance. Simona Conquo has the full story.
Porter Airlines pulled the plug on a scheduled flight to Toronto after a child on board refused to buckle the seatbelt, leaving crew unable to meet safety requirements. The airline said the decision was made to protect all passengers, as regulations demand every seat be secured before departure. The young passenger's refusal meant the flight could not take off, prompting ground staff to cancel the service and rebook travelers on later departures. Porter, which runs regular routes into the city, noted that cancellations are rare and only occur when safety protocols cannot be satisfied. Affected customers were directed to the airline's service desk for assistance. Simon Okonkwo, GMNA News, Toronto.
Now let's turn to the afternoon forecast and see what the weather has in store.
A southerly jet stream is pushing moist air inland, setting up overcast skies and a warm afternoon. On this date, the all-time high sits at 33.9 degrees, recorded in 2016 during a lingering heat wave that pushed the city into the upper 30s for several days. The coldest reading is 12.8 degrees, set in 2008 when an Arctic air mass slipped south behind a deep trough, dropping temperatures well below the usual range. By contrast, the climatological normals hover around 26 degrees for the high and 16 for the low, underscoring how today's forecast sits between those extremes. The live radar shows a completely blank return across southern Ontario, confirming no showers in the vicinity. With the jet stream aloft flowing southwest at roughly 118 kilometers per hour, the upper-level flow is steering any moisture well north of the city. Near-average pressure is easing lower, but the air mass remains stable, so no precipitation is expected to develop this afternoon. I'm turning now to the day's outlook. At noon, the city sits under a thick overcast with temperature 23 degrees and humidity near 91%, feeling almost at the dew point. A near-average pressure system is slowly dropping, allowing the southerly jet at 118 kilometers per hour to feed warm, moist air into the region. That plume will lift temperatures to a high of 27 degrees by mid-afternoon, while clouds linger and keep the sun muted. Winds will pick up to around 26 kilometers per hour from the southwest, creating a noticeable breeze on exposed surfaces. The ultraviolet index sits at 5, and no weather alerts are in force. With the air mass remaining stable, precipitation stays off the radar as we head toward a dry evening. Looking ahead, Tuesday remains wrapped in cloud cover, with temperatures climbing to a high of 29 degrees and dipping to 18 overnight, keeping the heat index modest despite the humidity. Wednesday opens with a clear sky and a chance of isolated showers at 25%, so the high of 26 and low of 16 will feel crisp as the sun climbs. Thursday mirrors Wednesday's temperature range, but the clouds return, limiting daytime warming. Friday offers a break, mainly clear skies and a high of 24, allowing a moderate cool down towards 17 by night. Saturday reintroduces moisture, bringing light rain and a 45% chance, while temperatures slide to a high of 22 and a low of 17, marking the coolest spell of the period. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Downtown traffic as the Blue Jays face the Red Sox. National Dry Beverages announces an $18.1 million investment. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Severe congestion surrounds the Rogers Center on Blue Jays Way, with traffic crawling in lanes backed up for several blocks. Drivers should divert to the Gardner eastbound or use Queen Street to avoid the bottleneck. Lakeshore Boulevard West is closed to westbound traffic between Strachan Avenue and Parkside Drive, pushing vehicles onto Lakeshore Road and the Gardner. The westbound ramp at Jameson Avenue on the Gardner Expressway also remains shut, adding pressure to eastbound flow. Transit impacts include an elevator outage at Bloor-Yonge Station on Line 1, forcing passengers with mobility needs to use the nearby St. George or Sherbourne elevators. The TTC's Line 1 will end service at 11:59 p.m. tonight between Lawrence West and St. George, and GO trains are running on the Saturday holiday schedule this afternoon. Downtown streets stay heavy, but the east side of the city moves freely. Expect the congestion to linger through lunch before easing later.
Toronto Blue Jays take on Boston Red Sox at Rogers Center today. A classic rivalry with a back-to-back figurine giveaway, perfect for a quick family outing and a chance to catch live baseball before the evening rush. National Bank Open Women's Tennis quarterfinals are on at Sobeys Stadium. Watch rising stars battle for a spot in the final, a high-stakes match that could reveal the next Grand Slam champion. Symphony in the Gardens at Casa Loma tonight offers an outdoor classical concert under historic arches, a soothing soundtrack for summer evenings, ideal for a relaxed pause before heading home. Looking ahead, Usher, Chris Brown and Hilary Duff will light up Toronto's outdoor stages this week, delivering high-energy shows for summer nights. Rush returns to Scotiabank Arena tomorrow, and the Brampton Honey Badgers open the CEBL Finals Thursday, must-watch for Canadian sports fans. Cat Video Fest streams citywide now, pairing viral cat clips with rescue efforts for a feel-good feline fix. And now here's Marcus with sports.
Morning rush, Toronto sports heating up with pivotal health news and marathon battles. Right-hander Trey Yesavage is wrestling with an injury that may require surgery, putting his spot in the rotation on hold. The Jays' bullpen depth will be tested as they scramble for a reliable arm, and the decision will shape Toronto's pitching strategy for the stretch run. Fans are already debating which Toronto Raptors will make the cut for Madden, with rising wing Elijah Martin and sharpshooter Jamal Sheed front center in the conversation. Their inclusion could boost player profiles and give gamers a fresh look at the squad's evolving talent pipeline. In a 12-inning marathon, the Blue Jays fell 7-6 to the Phillies, extending a frustrating stretch for Toronto's offense. The loss highlights the need for timely hitting and a deeper bullpen, questions that will dominate the Jays' next road trip preparation.
National Dry Beverages in Etobicoke is taking a bold step forward, doubling the size of its plant with a 62,000 square foot addition. The locally owned manufacturer is pouring $18.1 million into construction, a move that will lift production capacity and create 20 new full-time jobs, and will partner with local vocational schools to train the next generation of technicians, boosting the workforce by nearly 40%. This expansion not only cements Etobicoke's reputation as a manufacturing hub, it also means more stable, well-paid work for residents and a stronger supply chain for local retailers. It's a reminder that homegrown companies are the backbone of Toronto's economy, keeping our neighborhoods thriving one job at a time. Coming up, the tragic story of an 83-year-old woman killed in a wrong-way QEW crash in Mississauga late Sunday. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Tonight, the Toronto Blue Jays will host the Boston Red Sox at the iconic Rogers Centre, promising a high-stakes showdown that could swing the division race. Fans are already lining up for what could be a dramatic night of baseball. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, Jordan Parker. The lights blaze over the concrete terraces of Rogers Centre. The smell of fresh popcorn and hot dogs mingles with the faint bite of lake air that rolls off the waterfront. Fans in navy and red swirl through the concourse, clutching caps, chanting Blue Jays, as the stadium's giant screen flashes the Red Sox logo in bright crimson. On the field, the diamond glistens after a light drizzle, the grass slick under the floodlights. The Blue Jays, sitting at 56 wins and 63 losses, line up against a Boston squad that holds 64 wins and 53 defeats, each side eyeing that crucial AL East spot. The umpire's voice cracks over the PA, announcing a tip-off at 7:07 Eastern Time, and the crowd leans forward, phones in hand, ready to capture every swing. Tonight's matchup isn't just about numbers, it's a showdown that could tilt the playoff picture and give Toronto a night of pride. Carl Dumont virtually at Rogers Centre.
Welcome back.
An 83-year-old woman died Friday night after entering the QEW in Mississauga traveling against traffic, police said. The wrong-way collision prompted a major response on the highway. Simon Okonkwo has the full story.
An 83-year-old woman lost her life Friday night after entering the Queensway Expressway in Mississauga the wrong way and colliding with oncoming traffic, Ontario Provincial Police said. The driver, traveling against the flow, was struck head-on near the interchange with Highway 4, prompting a massive emergency response. First responders arrived within minutes, but the woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators are reviewing dash cam footage and witness statements to confirm how she entered the highway in the opposite direction. Authorities reminded motorists to heed signage and maintain awareness, especially during night hours. The crash caused temporary lane closures and traffic delays as crews cleared the wreckage and investigated the scene. Simon Okonkwo, GMNA News, Mississauga.
Ontario's fire marshal has taken command of the investigation into a fatal Etobicoke house fire that claimed one life, joining local authorities and the victim's neighbor. Tobias Kwan has the full story.
Saturday morning, a blaze ripped through a two-story home on a quiet Etobicoke street, leaving one man dead inside. Neighbors heard the alarm and called emergency services as flames engulfed the kitchen and spread rapidly through the living area. Fire crews arrived within minutes, battling the fire for over an hour before it was fully extinguished. The Ontario Fire Marshal's office has now taken command of the investigation, superseding the municipal inquiry, to determine the cause and assess any safety violations. Officials will interview the surviving neighbor who witnessed the fire and review the building's electrical and heating systems. The province's fire marshal will issue a formal report once the investigation concludes. Tobias Kwan, GMNA News, Etobicoke.
Thank you, Toronto, for joining us on the lunch break. From today's surprising tornadoes that swept across southern Ontario to the steady rise in cyclists on our streets, it's clear our city never stops moving. We appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you more stories tomorrow. See you tomorrow.